Okay, all yours. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, good morning and good afternoon. So I am Shrishti Mishra. I'm working as a senior automation consultant in UST Global. I have total 6+ years of experience in IT industry. Um, Apart from marketing cloud, I am aware of the sales cloud, service cloud, and also I have worked on different languages, C# and Java. So on screen, you can see my Twitter handle. So if you want to connect me in the Twitter, so you can connect Shrishti_M07. So this is all about me. So let's get started with the topic which we are going to discuss. So before that, I'll just give a glance on the agenda item which we have for today. So I'm going to discuss about the problem statement which we have related to the and unit testing. Then I'll talk about the tools which I'm going to use for the testing. Then we'll talk about how we can integrate the Postman and Marketing Cloud with REST and SOAP services. Also, I'll try to cover some of the business use cases related to the API, and we'll see how we can automate through the Visual Studio. Then we'll come to the journey testing. So this topic, this is already capability Salesforce Marketing Cloud has. So I will just give us some overview how we can use this capability during the journey testing. And then we'll move to the email and preview testing using a Litmus. So Litmus is a tool which helps us in testing an email and preview. We'll talk about it. Then we'll come to the question and answer. So this will be the interactive session. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask. I'll try my best to answer those questions. And then we'll conclude the session. So let's move to the other part. So why I have selected this topic? What was the reason that I have selected that testing is required in the SFMC? If you see the bullet points, there are a couple of problem statements which resides today, and we are not aware of that, how we can overcome that. So before jumping into the topic, like what all problem statements has, there is one say, which is really, I can feel in today's session, I can relate with that. And what is that? The only sufferer can understand the pain of the suffering. Maybe you guys was thinking why I have stated the statement. Because in day-to-day IT world, maybe we heard from the developer or product owner or from the tester. See, the developer says, you will not understand the pain. I have to develop the story. I have to write the test case, unit test cases. I have to deploy the changes. I totally agree. We cannot understand their pain. Then tester says, you'll not understand. I have to perform the manual testing. I have to the regression also. Then I have to make sure all my test cases are passing and we are delivering the quality products, right? So everyone has their problem. So let me do one thing. For this problem, I have one solution, how I can resolve this issue. So I'll assign a dual role to the particular user and we'll see how he reacts with that. Okay. So let's take an example. John, as a person, was working in an IT industry. And when I'm saying the dual role, so dual role is either developer or tester. Okay. So first I am assigning him a role as a developer. Okay. And he's working in an organization where he has to achieve the TDD approach in SFMC. As a John, I am just thinking, okay, I know how to develop data extension. I know how to develop automation studio, but how I can do the TDD? What is TDD? TDD is like, first you have to write your unit test cases, and based on that, you can create your development work and you can proceed with the story. But in SFMC, the biggest challenge is we don't have any Apex test classes. How you can do that? So if you are seeing on the screen, the small guy with weird face and he's quite tensed. John is in the same condition now. He is also thinking how I can do that. Okay, so that really now John is in a problem. Now move to the other scenario. John isn't working in some other project where he doesn't have to achieve TDD, but after development, he has to do unit testing. Again, he comes in the same picture. He knows how to develop data extension, automation studio. He knows how to query, how to create a query activity. But again, how he will do unit testing? The only solution he has, he knows he can go to the data extension particular folder. He can verify this data extension is working fine or not. But do you think this is the feasible way? No. Okay, so this is now John acted as a developer and he has a couple of challenges we saw already, right? Now I'll assign a John testing role. Now John is working as a tester in an organization. So what all challenges he is facing? The developer has developer story, which is related to automation studio. John, when he verified that automation studio is already configured, these are the filter activity, query activity, which is visible in the UI. That's well and good. But from the higher management, people are asking John, can you please automate this? Now John is in the same position now, just like a small guy. Is just thinking what I can do, because he knows manually he has to go and he has to verify data extension and automation studio. But there is no page layout changes, there is no button, there is no fields. So he cannot perform UI automation also. So yes, this is a problem for John. The another scenario, the John is working in a large organization where 1,000 test cases he has to run in every regression release window. So when I'm saying release window, just take an example. There is an organization where every month releases happen and you have to perform all 1,000 test cases manually. So there are chances, because it's a human error, right? You maybe forget to validate all 15,000 test cases. So what? Yeah, correct. Now he is in a big, this problem statement doesn't end here. There are things which is really critical for the developers and the tester both. So just take, you are working in an organization where you have a different business units. So when I'm saying business units, it's in other term, it's just a sandbox. You're working in the Salesforce, so it's a sandbox. So development, the developer has developed their story in one particular BU, and after development, he's pushing his code in the testing, where functional tester has to go and verify. After this verification, he's making sure the code should be there in for QA. So QA is nothing but end-to-end. So that is also done. After that, he's moving the code to the staging, that is for the UAT, and then it goes to production. So this is the way he has to follow, right? And this is the biggest challenge, because there could be a possibility while deploying the code, you have missed something. So how you will be make sure that your code is clean and clear in each and every testing stages. So how you can that? This is really a big problem, because if you have to do a testing manually, 5 different orgs, maybe you have deployed 500 or 600 components only for one story. So just think how much work you have to do, right? So yeah, so John, as a developer or as a tester, he has a problem. So he's seeing the issue like, yeah, he knows how to develop, but he doesn't know how to automate. But I'm sure after this session, you people will be like thinking, is this really a problem? Because we have a solution for it. So what is that solution? The solution is nothing but testing, that is a automation testing. How we can like overcome with this all problem statements. So we can use some of the tools which is already integrated with the marketing cloud, like Litmus. We can use the web services, because it's not only the UI changes, it's not related to UI. So basically it's like a logical change. You have to verify where the data extension is getting changed, where automation studio is using the query activity or filter activity, right? So in that case, you can use the web service testing. And I am like sure after this session, you guys will be sure 50 to 60% problem statements, which you see, right? It will not reside in the problem bucket. Okay. So definitely I'll come back in after maybe end of the session and I will ask you same question. Is this really a problem? Okay. So let's move to the what are all tools I am going to use it. So if you see in the on the screen, there are a couple of tools on left hand side in the top. That is a Postman. So if anyone is not aware of that, so I'll just give an overview on the Postman. So Postman is an open source automation tool which helps in integration of web services. And it also works in the HTTP methods. So HTTP methods, post, put, delete, get, patch. Okay. And you can integrate REST and SOAP services with it. Also, it helps us in the different formats. So just take an example. If you have a payload, which is a JSON, it works in the JSON, it works in the XML, it works in the normal text file as well. So also, it has a capability. You can define your global variable. So we'll see more about it in our maybe in few minutes how it works, and I will give you some overview in it. Let's move to the other part, the tool which we are using. The REST and SOAP basically is a services which we are going to use it for the integration with the marketing cloud, and also in the Visual Studio, how we can integrate our business use cases. This web services will help us on it. Okay. On right hand side left, you will see the Litmus. So Litmus is a tool which is not a free, it's a not an open source, it's a paid version. So 3 versions are available in the market now. One is basic, pro, and enterprise. So based on your organization need, you have to purchase this. And the basic has some lesser capability, like if you want to do some spam testing or maybe analytics, so that feasibility will not be there. But if you buy like enterprise, so it will give you more flexibility and you can test like spam testing, some of the features. Then in the middle of the screen, you can see the Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is a tool. It's an editor for the C#. If you know the C# language, so Visual Studio also has a different version. So it works in the enterprise community, and in 2 years, mostly they launched their new version like 2017, 13, then now currently we are using 2019. So this is all about the tool which we are going to use it for the testing. And when we'll work in the like a demo, I'll show you how it works properly. It's just an overview about the tools. Okay, so first we'll start with the web service testing. So in the web service testing, most of the, if you are a developer or tester, you heard about the REST and SOAP. Maybe you are aware of also like how it works. If not any problem, because I'm going to give you overview from the scratch, like how we can integrate the REST and SOAP API for the testing. Also, we'll use the Postman and Visual Studio to see how it creates the data, how you can fetch the data for the particular object. Now we are in the page. On the screen, you can see client ID, client secret, some of the URIs, right? So if you're aware of the Salesforce or Sales Cloud, you have heard about the connected apps. So you can just refer that with the connected app. It's almost same, like connected app also generates the client ID and secret key automatically, and it will give you a feasibility to generate a token. Right? Here the integration type, either you can select server to server, and it has a web and public. Okay, so I have selected the server to server. So let me do one thing, because I'll show you on the org how we can generate an access token. So it will help you guys more. So this is the marketing cloud org I have. So if you see how I went there, so after login, you can mouse over your name, go click on the setup. After setup, it will open this setup in left hand side the menu bar. You can select install package. As selecting install package, I have created only for the test rest package. So you see this is the name of the package. So you can refer again with the connected app if you are aware of the Sales Cloud. Okay. So if you see here, how you add the components. So these are this is the name I have given for the package, and this package ID, it's like a unique ID. It will get generated automatically. Okay, if you want to edit some of the information, that also you can do so. Let's talk about the components. So how you can get this kind of information. So what you have to do, you have to click the add component and you have to select. So if you see, I have already selected the API integration. That's why it's grayed out. That means for one package, you can add only one component, API integration. So, okay, I'll not do anything here because it's already added. So this client ID and secret key, if you see, this is the automatically generated ID. Okay, and why we need it? We need it for generating a token because we have selected the integration type as a server to server. Auth-based URI, this URI will help us in creating a token. So with the help of auth-based URI, client ID and client secret will generate a access token. In down, you will see the REST base and SOAP. So REST will be having something like this, .rest marketing cloud. So this is the base URL, only the difference is a REST. So we are putting the REST. For the SOAP, if you see, that is that SOAP marketing cloud. So this is the base URL has, but when you want to connect with the SOAP, you have to enter this value. Now, the other thing which is most important part in configuring your package, that is a scope. So scope is nothing but the access. If you see in the left-hand side, these are the objects. So data extension, list and subscriber, tracking events, right? And access. So what all access you want for this particular object. So just take an example. You want to fetch a data for particular data extension, okay, through the API, but you are getting an error, insufficient privilege. What will be the issue? Because you didn't define your scope properly. So before using the REST API, make sure whatever the need you have related to the particular object, you define the scope properly. Okay. So this is all about how we can configure our package. Let's move to the how we can generate the access token for the REST API. So if you see, this is the auth-based URI which we have in the package, and this is the client ID, secret, and account ID. There is a one thing maybe you people have also noticed in Sales Cloud. When we generate an access token, usually we provide our client ID and client secret in the URI itself, right? But in SFMC, you have to provide this information in the payload. And what is the account ID? So account ID is nothing but it's your BU MID. So if you mouse over your BU, this is a BU name, this will show you the account ID. So this is the account ID which I am going to use. So let me show you guys in the Postman how it works. So this is a Postman tool, which I earlier talk about. So Postman is an open source tool. So if you see, it has a capability, you can create a collection. Okay, so if you see, I have a couple of collection related to my work. Okay, and then you can share this collection with someone. So if you're working in a team, like if you have 5 or 6 members in a team and you want to share some of the information, so you can do so. Then you can create your environment. So if currently I'm working in only one environment, if I have multiple environments and based on the environment, my base URL or maybe some of the values are getting changed, I can configure that also. Also, it has a capability that you can configure the global variables. So just like you don't want to display this URL, base URL always in your payload or maybe in the URI, you can create a global variable. You can assign it to the particular environment. Okay, so this is the way it works, Postman. And if you see here, these are the HTTP methods. So get, post, put, delete. If you see, these are the HTTP methods which can be used. Also, it has a capability to select a different kind of data. So if you see here, you can select either text, JavaScript, HTML, XML, JSON. Okay, so this is the one, this is the like you can use the Postman. Why I am showing you guys the Postman? Because when you want to automate your business use cases, you should aware of that, how we can use this APIs, right? So that's why before the going to the Visual Studio and automating everything, we should aware of this, how we can generate a token. So let me do one thing. I'll just create one access token. I'll show you how it looks like the response. So if you see, this is the access token which got generated. The token type is bearer. Scope is nothing but what all access I have provided for the particular objects. Okay, that information. Soap, like our soap URI, and rest for the rest URI. Okay, so these are the responses I get from when we send this request. So this is all about how we can generate an access token. Let's move to the business use cases. Okay, so business use cases which I'm going to cover through the web service testing, it has multiple. So how we can create a content folder under content builder. Okay, also I'll talk about the shared content, how we can create a shared content folder. And if we delete the content folder from the particular folder list, will it get deleted? And if it's delete also, how we can verify as a functional queue, or maybe in the unit testing, it got deleted. So those kind of capability Visual Studio has, which I'll show you through the Visual Studio as well as a Postman. Also, we'll talk about how we can generate content. Then we'll talk about some of the general access, like if you want to fetch a data related to the user, then you want to get information about the send classification, you want to get some information related to header and footer. All things are possible through the web service. So let me show you some of the examples. If you see, this is related to, I am validating a email. So just take, I want to send one email to the particular recipient. Okay, I have given the email address, this one. Before that, what work we will do? Because we have already in capability in the marketing cloud, the list detective will detect, is this a proper email address or not, right? But as a functional QA, how you will do that? So what you email address or the email recipient which you want to test, you can provide the email address and the validator will validate which kind of, it's a pass or it's a fail. And if it's a fail, which kind of error it is. Before that, it will ask you for the authorization key. So if you see in the bearer token, you have to give the access token, which you have got from this request. Also, you can pass the content. Sometimes it's required that you have to pass the content type as an application JSON. Sometimes it will not ask you. So let me do one thing. I'll just copy this part. And I put it here. So this is a, see, the email form is not proper, it's wrong, right? So what is the expectation? The expectation will be, it should not be valid. So let me try and see what it comes. If you see, it's saying valid, false. It's not a valid email address. And what is the validation? Syntax validator. Syntax is not proper. Okay, so this is the negative test cases which I have validated. Let me try with some valid. No, because it's domain test.com, it's not valid. It's showing false. List detective addict. Because we have put this test in our list. So this test is behaving like it's a false. We'll move and we'll give something else. This domain is correct and you are seeing it's a valid. Okay, so this is the way as a functional tester, if you want to verify like whatever the email recipients which is coming from the client, that is proper or not. Okay, so this is the one way you can see. The another business use cases related to the info. So maybe you have logged in with a particular user and you want to know that information, right? So how you can do that? So again, you can change your access token. Why this is a every time I am doing, because it's a manual work. But when you go to the automation Visual Studio, you don't have to change the bearer token every time. Okay, so that is the advantage of Visual Studio. So what all information we need? The user with I have logged in, right? So let's see what it gives us. If you see the name, definitely I am using the app user, so it may show this information. Then it will give you the ID, like member ID for which BU I am using. Enterprise ID is nothing but your parent. And what is the enterprise name? Like this is the enterprise parent BU. Okay. What is the account type? Enterprise. Okay. So if you want to verify the user info, that you can do so. Also, if you have a specific user info, like I have given for the particular user, then you can provide your user ID and you can fetch the data. Okay, so this is the way you can get information. So if you see, it's showing me all the scopes, everything, like what is the name, what is the ID of it. Okay. So like this, you can fetch a data about the user info. Let's move to the send classification. So I have a couple of send classification. I want to verify its information, what send definition I am using for it, what delivery profile I am using for it, how I can get through. So if you see the URI, this is a SOAP service, service.axmis, that is a web service. And for this, the body will be little different. When I am saying body is a payload. So for SOAP service, we have different kind of actions. So for create, its action is create. If you want to update, it's update. If you want to get, that is retrieve. And if you want to delete, it's a delete. Okay. So that action you have to provide here, like what action you are going to perform. This full auth as full auth is nothing but it's your general token. Okay, so you have to provide your general token here, access token. And then I'll show you the request body, how it looks like. So here the object type is send classification because we want to get a data from the object send classification. Customer key is nothing but your external key. So like if you are aware of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, so when you generate any kind of data, automatically it will assign one unique ID with it. If it's a data extension, list, whatever it is. Okay. So customer key is nothing but as an external key, and that will be unique for each and every object. Okay. So how I am fetching this data, I have given the query string customer key equals default commercial. So instead of customer key, I can provide anything. If I want to fetch a data with the name, so I can say name equals to ABC. If I want to fetch a data with something ID, if it has a something different ID, that also you can do so. So this is a query string filter value that you can define based on your need. Okay? And it will give you particular information. So let's see how it works. If you see, this is the information which I got. This is the customer key. I have given all information. It will show you whatever you want. Okay. So this is the way you, and if you have to do the manual testing, how you will do that? Again, you have to go to setup. I'll just show you how difficult it is. Okay. So if you have to verify the email studio send classification manually, how you can do that? So go to the email studio. Then go to admin. Then go to the send classification. Okay. Then you have a default commercial, go here and then verify all the values. So this is a tedious job, right? Because it's like you have to navigate from one place to so many places, right? But yeah, through API, it's quite easy. You just have to provide the API name. And then, so earlier I was talking about the customer key. So customer key is nothing but your external key. This is a unique ID. So this is all about the general use cases, business use cases, which when we start our testing, we usually do. Let's talk about the another use cases, which is related to contact. Okay. So let me close all this. So now you have to create a contact. Okay, so the requirement is you have got some of the information from your client and you have to create a contact for it in your marketing cloud. So how you can do that? So before that, we should know in the marketing cloud, there are some of the objects which work with the only REST API and some of the objects which only works with the SOAP API. The contact which works with REST service. Okay, so if you see, it's a REST services. So what I have given, definitely when I talk about the contact key, again, it's a unique ID. So you have to provide a unique ID here. And then I have given the email address, SFMC demo@ustglobal.com. So let me do one thing. Let me verify this user is there or not. Okay. This is a contact builder where the user contact details is going to store. Okay, so this is all contact where when you're creating any when you are inserting any contact information, it will resides under all contact. So now this user is not there. Okay, so we'll do one thing. We'll create this user, and this is the contact key.
Hey, Shrishti, wouldn't it be beneficial to actually create a variable and store that token there and then like an environment variable?
Yes, Shibu, but it will expire. So that's why I told you can do that. You can create your environment variable and store it. Yes, that's possible.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
That's possible. So if you see, this is the contact key, contact ID, okay, which I have generated just now. So let me go to the market here and we'll see it's there or not, this user. Okay.
Try using the subscriber key.
Maybe I have given some space. So if you see, this is the contact which got created. Okay. So if I have to verify this contact detail, how I can do that? So if you have to verify, you have to you have to log into or you have to come to the contact builder and then all contacts, like what I have done, right? You have to search, you have to provide the contact key or email address. So that all the things, it's possible through the API. You don't have to do all this. So what you have to do, you have to just provide the information about your contact key and it will give you the update. Also, you can, if you want to update something for the contact. So just take an example. I want to update the email address for the particular object. So particular contact. So I can do so. So now if you see the data got updated, let me go back and check here. You see the email address got updated with the updated value. So these all things can be possible through the automation studio, through Postman and Visual Studio. Sorry for that.
Yeah, Srishti, I have a question. Can you please show me where we are mentioning whether we want to create or we want to update or we want to delete the content? Where we are mentioning this thing?
Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a REST API, contact supports REST API. So when you select the value like HTTP methods, so if you want to create, you have to set post method. If you want to get the information, you have to update the HTTP method as a get. And if you want to delete, you have to select a delete method. So it's totally dependent on the HTTP method which you are selecting.
But for update, we are using the post itself. No?
Yeah. For create and update, you have to use post. When you want to fetch a data, you have to select get.
And it's just like a workbench of Sales Cloud, I think, where we mentioned the get. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is all about the contact. So I have just given a small example how we can do. So it's based on your use cases. So if you have something like update, like I have just updated the email address, and if you want to update something else, your fields like first name, last name, so that also you can do. So how it's possible? Just you can include the name of the field and then values, whatever the values you want to update it. Okay, so that is the payload which we can use as a generic payload, and based on your requirement you can update the values. So this is related to the contact, how we can create a contact, how we can update the contact. Let's move to the subscribers. So if we go to our business use cases, we covered about the contact. So how we can create a contact, how we can modify the details and all, right? So this thing, why I have showed you guys in the Postman, because before automating, we should know how it works, like how the post works, how get method works, right? So I'll show you in the Visual Studio. And one by one, we'll cover all the business use cases. So maybe you guys can correlate with your scenarios if you have any. So this is the Visual Studio. If you see, I have used some framework that is like a spec flow framework. So it's totally depend on your business, like organization. So it has a capability. You can create hybrid framework. You can create a different data driven page object model. So I have used a spec flow. So why I have used this, like it's a user friendly, it's a normal text. So if someone is a like a non-technical person and he wants to know like your maybe business analyst or maybe someone who doesn't know how you have written your automation test cases, just using this feature file, they will be aware of that. Okay, these are the things which is done by this automation test cases. Okay. So if you see, I have written some automation, some scenarios. What I have done, what I am doing here, I am creating a one folder, content folder. Okay. So before that, you have to generate an access token, create a content folder, then verify that content folder got created or not. Then what I'm doing after that, I am verifying the content, like maybe the content got created, but it's a something different. I have given a name SFMC demo, but it's created with something SFMC demo 1. So that verification I am doing through this. Then I want to delete it because later I realize this content folder, I don't want it. So I have deleted the content folder, but after deletion, am I sure that it's got already deleted? So those all scenarios I'm covering in this one single test cases. Before that, I want to give you guys some overview on the Visual Studio, how it works. So as I mentioned, it has a different framework. So if you see, this is the feature file where I have written this normal text. This is the page where I am writing my actual implementation code. So it looks like this. So this is the actual implementation code. Then I have a step definition. So it's just like a intermediate. So when I want to connect with the feature file and pages, the step will help me with this. So it will help from which method should call, okay? And then test data, it's totally depend on you, how you are structuring your framework. So I have stored some of the JSON file. If you want, you can store it in some other format or maybe in your class itself. Then I have created some utility. So utility, if you see, this is the helper class because I need the access token always. If you see, I was struggling, right? Because I have to copy paste, or maybe I have to store this access token in the general variable. So, but intentionally I was showing you guys this access token because this is the advantage of the Visual Studio or maybe automation. You don't have to change this each and every time. It will generate and it will store in some value. And if you want to fetch for maybe 1,000 test cases, you can use this access token. Okay. So I'll just go through one by one. So as I mentioned, first I am generating access token, then creating a content folder, and then verifying the status. So let's just go to the step definition, how it looks. So this is the step which I am following. Okay. Then what it does, it generates a token. So this is the token. So as I mentioned, it's up to you how you are storing your data. So is it just for the demo purpose? I have created this framework. So I am putting a value because I have only one account ID. If you want to store it in your test data, and you can make it as a dynamic. So you can change the value. That is also possible. And this is all the methods which I am going to use it. So I am using the REST API, I am using the base URL, how I can concatenate, because each and every time the base URL will be same, but the URL which you are appending, it will be different. So if I am working in the categories, so categories is nothing but it's an API name for the content folder. Okay, so it's little different from Sales Cloud if you compare, because in the Sales Cloud, it's a content folder. If it's a standard object, it will be like a content folder. If it's a custom object, it will be content folder __C, right? So in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, it's little different. Okay, so content folder API name is a categories. So this is the URL which we have to append in the base URL. So that's why I have given here the URL value. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just run this test case and I will show you guys how it works. Okay, so maybe you'll get clear idea on it. And I'll not delete, so just why I have just put the debugger point. So, and this is the way you can run your test cases. So if you see, I have only 2 test cases, it's showing 2. So I'll just debug because I want to show you how it works. Yeah, so it's passed. So now it's created, it delete what all it has done. First it created the access token, then it created the content folder, then it verifies the content folder got created or not, then it's deleting that folder, and after that also it verified that folder got deleted or not. So based on the status codes, if you see, I have mention the different status code, not found. When it's deleted and you will try to fetch a data, definitely it will show you not found, right? When it's created, it will show you the created status. So likewise, based on your status code, you can define and you can verify all the information. Okay, so this is the way you can automate. Let me show you guys the another one. So this is the URL person which is going to create. Let's see, this person is already there in this system. Yes, it's there. So I'll try to change this person UID. Save it. Then we'll go to the again our test cases. Okay, I want to open this. So this also 10. So it got created. Okay, so this is the way we can automate our features. So I have just shown you the simple use cases, like how we can get a data, then how we can verify. So it's not only the content, either you can, if you want for the automation studio, if you want for the journey builder, that also works fine. Okay, so I'll show you guys how we can configure this automation studio and journey builder, right, to the API. So we have covered this part till how we can update the content using the REST API, then how we can automate to the automation studio, Visual Studio. Let's talk about the subscriber. So subscriber, again, it's the SOAP API. Okay, so again, you have to mention your action. So create, post, put, delete, whatever you want. Then you have to give the subscriber customer key. So customer key is nothing but your subscriber key, and then email address. If you want to provide some other information, so if you see the attributes, so I have given the attributes name, first name, some value, last name, and then company name, right? So those things you can perform through you can create a subscriber adding your attributes value as well. So that's also possible. The other thing, you have created a subscriber. Now you want that information for the subscriber, how you can do that. So the same way, first, what all you want to retrieve. Maybe for the subscriber, you want to retrieve only the email address or maybe only status. So those retrieve requests you have to specify based on your use cases. Then you can again pass the query string. So here I am passing the subscriber key, because for the subscriber, the unique ID will be a subscriber key and value will is this. So instead of equal, if you have some use cases, something like maybe you want to fetch a data of a subscriber who resides in your system from last 1 year, right? So you can give your filter value like created date greater than or less than this, and then you can put a value, particular date, right? So that is possible. You can pass your query string value based on your use cases. So this is all about the subscriber, how we can create a subscriber, how we can update the subscriber. If I go to the back to my business use cases, right? So we covered about the contacts, we covered about the subscriber. Let's talk about the list. So in list, what all we can do. So in list, if you go, so if you see here, I think Shibu has asked me about the global variable. Can we put the access token in the global variable? So yes, we can do that. So in this, I have put the username value and the password value. If you see, this is a global variable. So I have created one global variable in my system because I don't want that this will be visible to all, right? Because it's a secure data. So I have kept in the my global variable, and when I want to fetch a data for this particular, so it will just go to the global variable, which is connected with the environment, and it will fetch a data from there. So likewise, you can create your global variables in your payload. But in system, like if you want to automate this in the Visual Studio, you don't have to do so, because you can create one variable like your Apex. You can assign this variable value to the particular name. So that is possible. So what I have to do in that list, so again, it's up to you. So in the, if you know the list we can create as a public type, we can create as a private, right? So that you have to specify here, like type public, then you can give the name, and then customer key. So customer key is like, again, it's a external key. And if you want to add some of the attributes, so that also you can do. So I am creating this list without any attributes. Okay, so when I'm talking about the attributes, it's a field. Basically, it's a field of this particular list. So let me do one thing. Let me run this and see how. So this is the list which got created. Let me go back to the org and show you guys. So if you see the SFMC demo list, right? This is the list I have created. I didn't added any records in it. If you want, you can add the records as well. Okay, so it's again, it's up to your use cases, how you want to do. Okay, and then if I want to update a list, what need to do? So again, it's the same process, because again, it will fetch based on your customer key. So I'm just fetching and I'm updating some value. So this is the update value. You can update the value, any list. Then
Srishti, when we create data like this, right, can we actually like get data from an Excel sheet and then automatically pass that in when through the API?
Yeah, so I am showing in the Postman. So that's why you have to enter the value here. So when you go to Visual Studio, if you see, I have taken this value, like all this value from the JSON. So if you want JSON, because it's a REST API, and if you want to automate the SOAP API, you have to create your data here. And that will not be hard coded. Maybe you people are thinking this is a hard coded value. No, it's not hard coded. You can create a random value on it. Okay, so there are particular codes. You can generate a random numbers, like maybe contact key will not be same always, right? So you can create a random value for it. You can append that random value in the particular value, and you can generate a random data. So that's the
if I have the data in an Excel sheet, like if I want to pull from there, is it possible to like do that either probably not in Postman or in Visual Studio if I want to, like, because it dynamically the script you have written already, but every time like I run it, I want to use different set of data.
You can do that.
We can connect it directly to the Excel and get it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So the test data format will be anything. So if you want from the Excel, CSV, anything. And the dynamic data you can store in the Excel file. And whenever your automation scripts are running, you can use the dynamic data. So that's why we are using automations, Visual Studio.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So this is all about the list. So it's the same process. If you want to update any field, or maybe it's a name itself, you can update it here. Okay. And then if you want to get a data, so again, it will be a retrieve process. You have to provide the list name and you can get a data. So why I'm going, showing you guys these things, because when we perform our testing, mostly we works on the get, right? Because you have to fetch a data. A developer has developed a list, and you should know what all list he has developed, what all value he has put on it, right? So mostly as a functional QA, maybe we will work on the get methods. So this is all about the list, subscriber, and we talk about the contact. So let's move to the other business use cases that is related to the data extension. So data extension, if you know about it, it has a different capability. So data extension you can create through the data retention policies and data retention settings. So when I'm saying a data, so let me do one thing. If you are new to the system, I'll show you guys one data extension. Okay. Yeah, so this is a data extension, and in the data extension, there are different type of data extensions, like it's for non-sendable or sendable. So that if you want to configure a sendable data, that capability also post web services has. Also, if you want to provide any retentions policy, like maybe this data extension should persist in the system only for 1 week or 1 month, those kind of configuration also possible for the web service. Also the fields, the data type, length, if it's a primary value or it will contain a null value, all kind of information, it's possible through the API. Okay. Not only this, if you want some of the value should be there in the first name, like your fields, that is also possible. So let me do one thing. I'll show you guys first the payload for this. This is the SOAP XML. So again, a data extension works with the SOAP service. Okay. So if you see, I have given some name, SFMC demo, and these are the fields. So customer key is a subscriber key value, then first name, last name, email. So these are the my fields which I am going to configure for this. Okay. So these are the now this data extension got created, right? So let me go and see how it looks like. You see, SFMC demo D, okay, what all it has. So I have marked as for the sendable. So that's why you're seeing use for sending, yes. Use for testing, no. So because I don't want this for the testing, so I have marked as no. If you want, you can mark it as a yes. And these are the fields which I have configured. So if you see, these are the fields. And I have given the particular length also for the particular fields. And even I have configured based on the data types. Okay. So like this, you can create a data extension, and then if you want to update a value for the data extension, same way you can go and you can update the value. So it's not only the name. If you want to create any new field also, if you see the new field is not there, right? Currently, there is no such fields, new field, correct? So if I want to update something in this D, I can do so. So just I have to add the new field, or maybe if you want to update the field type also, or maybe something else, that also you can do. Okay. So this is all about how we can create a data extension, how we can update the data extension, and if you want to retrieve, you can retrieve. So in this example, I have shown you only the field and the data extension, how we can configure, but I didn't show you about the data retention. So data retention settings also can be configured. If you want to provide a data of value for the particular field, that also is possible. Okay, so this is all about the data extension. We can play around with this. And also if you want to delete the data extension, so I don't want the data extension should be there. Maybe after some time I realize that I didn't put a data retention for it, but I don't want this data extension in my system. So you can just go and delete it. Okay. So just you have to give the customer key value and you can delete the data. So this is all about the subscriber list and data extension. And based on your use cases, you can update your payloads, you can upload your XML, and you can play around with it. Now we'll move to this content folder. So I was talking about how we can create a content, how we can create a content folder. So let me just go back and I will show you what I am talking first. Yeah, so if you see, there are a couple of these, this is called a content folder, okay, and this is called a shared folder, okay. So if I want to verify some of the information in the shared folder, that also I can verify. There is a subfield that is called a scope, so I'll show you guys. And if I want to verify some of the folders or maybe some of the contents for the particular email, I can verify through the web service. Okay. So let me show you guys how we can do that. So I'll come to the first folder. We'll talk about the folder first. So for the content folder, the API name is a categories. Okay. And for content, the API name is a asset. So we talk in the marketing cloud when we deal with the web services, content is nothing but asset. Okay. So again, it works in the REST. So you have to provide the token, and then I'll show you guys. Because it's a get, so I'm just sending in. Let's see what I got. So you see, these are the information, content blocks, some of the images, some of the file name you will be able to see. If you see CGB virtual 001, so I'll show you where it is. So if you see, it's showing these values. I'll show you everything which is there because I didn't specify any category ID, that is a content folder ID. That's why it's showing me all the value which resides in my system. Likewise, if I want to get a content detail, so content detail is nothing but particular content information. Either it's a image or it's a email template, whatever it is, right? So how we can do that? So same process, because we are talking about the content. We're talking about the content here. So that's why I have given the assets, right? So if you see, it's an asset, it's not a categories. So, and this is the asset ID. So how you will see this? If you see, this is the asset ID, the unique ID, okay? How it looks like. So I have fetch a data for the particular, this is the name, okay? And who has created, when it got modified, it belongs to which enterprise, what is the name, under which folder it resides, okay? Everything, you will get all the information. Okay? So this is the way you can fetch any content from your system. And if you want to create, you can create also. So what is the way you can create? Just you have to give the parent ID. So why it's required? So just take an example. Let me go back. It's just loading. It's a little slow, sorry. Yeah, so just take an example. I want to create a folder under this, right? So definitely this is a parent folder, and under parent folder, I'm going to create some folder. So I have to specify the parent folder ID. Okay. So if you see, I am doing the same thing here. I am providing the parent ID, and this is the folder which I am going to create. Okay. And then you can get a query. Again, you can use the query in your payload. So if you see what query I'm using, so asset type is nothing but which kind of content it is. Okay, so if it's a PNG, like if an image, it will be a PNG, right? If it's a content like HTML, so it will be a HTML. Okay, so you have to define which kind of asset type it is. So I have given asset type dot name equals PNG. So it will fetch only the image details. And what query I have put it here? Created date greater than 2019. Right? So this is the value I have provided. So you can give anything. So this operator works greater than, less than, equal. Okay, so you can do so. And what all fields I want to fetch? So I want the enterprise ID, member ID, category, and content data. Okay, so you can specify those also. So it has a flexibility. You can specify the particular fields which you want to retrieve from the folder. Okay, using query. So if you see what is the difference here? So I have just added the query in my URI. Okay, and I'm using the query here. So this is the way we can do so. This is all about the content folder. So I have showed you guys about the shared content. So in the shared content is what? If you want to share this content to the another BU, business units, so you have to specify the scope as a shared. Okay, and then you can create. If you want to create also, in create URI also, you have to provide scope equals to shared. If I want to fetch, I have to provide scope equals to shared. So it will show me all the shared content which resides in the particular business unit. So this is all about the content folder creation for different and how we can get a data and how we can create a shared content. So we'll talk about the create content now. So if you see the create content, you can specify any kind of content. So I am using the HTML. Okay, so if you want only text, you can specify only text. Okay, so let me do one thing. I'll just create this. It's got created SFMC demo email. You see, this is the email which got created by this user. This is the API user. Okay, and it has something like whatever the subject line I have given, it's showing the subject line also. New variable, this is the first thing. If you have specify any HTML content over it, it will show you the content. So as I didn't mention here anything, it's not showing me content. Okay, so it's up to you again. You can configure based on your requirement. You can delete the content. So let me show you guys. Okay, I think create content. I'll just delete this content itself. So here, this Postman, I am doing all manual. So I have to select the content ID and then I have to delete. But if I use the Visual Studio, automatically this ID will get appended. So Visual Studio, you have to write a code and you have to append the value over there. See, it's done. Now it's deleted. Let me go back and check is there or not. No, right? It got deleted already. Okay. So this is all about the content. Likewise, you can create automation. So automation works with the SOAP API. Okay, so you can define your automation value here. So I'll show you how it works. So in the automations task, so automation task is nothing but which kind of activity you are going to select. So if it's a query activity, you have to define the query activity. If it is a filter activity, you have to define the filter activity. Okay. And if you schedule, so you have to define the automation type also. Okay, so I have put it as a schedule, so it's showing me schedule here. Okay. So again, it's based on your need. If you want for the query, if you want for the send email, you can specify the task, and based on the task, you can create an automation. Same, if you want to retrieve, you have to give the fetch ID and you can query. The journey builder also, it's possible to create. So journey builder works with the REST. I have given a journey ID. So journey API name is interaction. Okay, so you see this is the interaction. Interaction is a journey API name. This is the value. So it will show you all the details related to the journey. Okay. So like if you just take an example, the automation helps you in this. because see, each and every time you cannot go and you cannot select what is the schedule time for the automation studio, what is which query activity we are using for the automation, what journey builder, what is the entry source for the journey builder. So in the automation studio, you have to just uh, give your automation ID or maybe journey ID, and you can fetch all the information, and in the response you can verify. Okay, so this is the way we can use the REST services for our automation work, for the unit testing as well as for the functional testing. Okay, so we covered almost everything related to the business use cases. Okay, so I'll just even I had told you about the Visual Studio. So it's up to you which framework you want to use it. So you can use the framework based on your demand, organization demand. Then you can create a project. Then this REST app and Newton soft JSON is required for the REST API. Then as I have used a spec flow, so I am using feature files, step definition, and main classes and helper classes. So it's again, it's based on your need. If you want something like in Java, because I have used C#, so if you want Java, so you can use different editor. You can use Eclipse, you can use IntelliJ. If you want Ruby, if you want to use in the Python, that also you can do. Okay, so there is no restriction in the automation like framework. You can select any kind of editor and any kind of language. So let's talk about the journey testing. So journey testing, as I mentioned earlier, Salesforce Marketing Cloud is already providing some of the features. So we'll talk about it. So how it is. So in the journey testing, if you know, there are two kinds of journey. First is single step, another one is a multi-step. Single step journey, you can configure only one message, email or push message. So if you see on the screen, after validation, because I have validated this journey, but I cannot see anything related to test. Okay, so let me show you guys in the system. So I'll go back. So if you see, I have created one single journey. So single journey is, you can send only one message. That is a single journey. Okay. So if you see here, after validate, there is no button. Let me validate also, because always testing works after validation. Yes, there is no option for testing. So that means the single step journey doesn't have capability for journey testing. Okay. So we'll move to the multi-step. In the multi-step journey, what all capability we have? So if you see in the multi-step, after this validation, I'm able to see this test, and even in the left-hand side down, test journey button is there, which help us in testing this journey. Also, there are some of the restrictions which we, or maybe a capability journey testing has. So if you're aware of the entry sources, which we configure as set in the journey testing, like no entry, re-entry. So journey testing doesn't support any contact entry process. Okay, so if you have a business cases where one contact after exiting from the journey, again he wants to re-enter, that kind of capability journey testing doesn't support. The second one is wait activity. Just take an example. You have created one journey where you have put a wait period for after 1 day, this email should get triggered. But when you test a journey testing, when you test a journey, it will just skip. It will not wait for 1 day or maybe any time which you have specified. Okay. So that is not possible. You can skip. So that is the advantage. You don't have to wait for the 2 or 3 days, maybe the duration which you have provided in your journey. Okay. So that is possible. You can skip. Also, the journey testing supports engagement slip. If you want for the random splits, decision splits, it supports. So I'll show you guys how it works. So if you see, this is the journey, multi-step journey I am has, and it has with duration 1 day here, then this 1 day, total 1 or 2, like if you see, right? So what I'll do, I'll just show you guys how we can do that. I'll just validate. Validation, if you see here in the down, test journey button is enabled. So I can test this journey through my test data. Okay, so it will ask you for the content, because definitely we need some content, right? How we can enter. So it will show you all the content which you have selected as an entry source. So I have selected a data extension. So I'll just select one, or let me select all three. Okay. And then it will ask you, because I have configured some of the emails. So you want to send a message or you don't want. So if you want, so you have to give your email ID. Maybe the data extension which you have selected, it has a real user email address. Okay. But you don't want to send them because you are testing for your purpose, right? So you can configure your email address here. Like you can provide your email address and it will send an email to you. If you don't want, you can just do not send image. Okay, so let me just do this. And then test behavior. So I'll show you the test behavior. So I was talking about the weight of duration. So if you see, it has a capability, it will just skip the weight of duration. And it supports all kind of splits, engagement splits, random splits. Okay, so if you see, it works. Let me do that. Let me start this one. So if you see, before I have selected 3 contacts, and 3 contacts are different capability. So how it works? So it takes little time because it has to fetch all 3 records.
Shrishti, maybe do you want to go to the next topic and come back to this one while it runs?
Yes, yes. Okay, so there are some of the limitation we have. I think I have covered the data extension, subscriber list, and general use cases also. But there are some of the limitation in the cloud page and email send testing. So what all this limitation is, because if you are working in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you will be aware of that. So when you access any kind of cloud pages and landing page, it counts against the supervisors. Okay. And even if you are sending any email, if it's a test email also, it counts against your super message. Maybe if your organization is fine, they are okay with the super message, then fine, you can test. But so what other way we have for this? For email send and preview, we have a tool like Litmus. Okay, so which is already configured in the through the marketing cloud. So we can through the Litmus, we can see how this email works in the different email clients. So when I'm seeing email clients, maybe in the Gmail, how it works, in Yahoo, how it works, in the Outlook, how it works, maybe in the different devices. Okay, so in mobile, how it behaves in the desktop. And not only the mobile and device, even it will show you the version. So if you have iPhone, so iPhone 7, how it looks, in iPhone 11 Pro, how it looks, in the normal Android phone, how it looks. So that limitation we can cover through the email studio Litmus for the email testing. For the cloud pages, you can use, if as I mentioned, if your organization is okay with the super message count, then you can use your services, web services. But otherwise, there is a one tool, a page that is a ESP, MailChimp. So you can create your landing pages over there. And you can just see, like it's a preview tool. So you can just preview how your landing pages are working. You can send some of the pages to your particular, maybe you're testing in your organization. So you can configure in such a way that your teammates can see. Okay. So those things is possible to the MailChimp. If you are okay, you can configure to the REST API also. So we'll talk about the Litmus in our this preview. Let me show you the journey testing. So what I was talking about, so if you see, there's one user, Shrishti Mishra, okay? and here it is a green line. Okay, so maybe Srishti is following this path, that's why it's showing green. Let me select the other one. Okay, so the John Cena, he is following the other path. So if you see, this is the gray one, the another part is a grayed out, right? This is the green. So likewise, you can test your journey based on your value. Okay, so this is the capability already Marketing Cloud has. Let's talk about, because now we have time constraint also. So we'll talk about the email and preview testing. As I mentioned, we have some limitation for the super message count. So how we can do that to the Litmus. So before that, how we can configure or integrate Litmus with the sales marketing cloud. So I'll go back. So as you know, Litmus is like a paid tool. So you have to purchase any like version. It's a basic, pro, or enterprise, and then you can configure. So Litmus only helps in the email preview and testing. Okay. So why we have selected a Litmus? Because let me just open one email. Okay, let me open this. So if you see in the left hand side, this is a Litmus. If you want to integrate, you can configure. So I have given a name like basis subscription. I have given my name here. Okay. So you can do so. Otherwise you can. So I will show you guys first how it looks like and how we can use it. Okay. And why we have used this tool? Because Salesforce Marketing Cloud has only this two capability for email preview. Either you can see how it looks like in the desktop, and then you can see how it looks like in the mobile, but it will not give you the feasibility how it looks like in the different email clients, or maybe how it looks in the different devices. Okay, so that's why we have selected a Litmus. So if you see Litmus, how it looks like. So it has a three main feature: builder, checklist, and analytics. So it helps in the building a new tool. So if you see, this is the Litmus. I have logged in and I have created two of the emails, and I want to see how it looks as. Before that, let me open one of the email and I'll show you. Okay, so if you see, it has builder, proof, checklist, and analytics. So what builder does, as name says, builder is used for the creating, right? So if you have already any email templates, you just paste it here, HTML contents. And if you want to create the fresh one, that also you can do so. Okay, so based on that, it will show me how it looks like. You see, this is the email is looking like this. Okay, and I will show you how it will look in the different email clients. You can send a test to, if you're working in some of the team where you have 4 or 5 people, and you can send a test only for the testing purpose, how it looks like in the different Outlook or maybe in the Gmail, right? You can share also with your colleagues. You can sync to the ESP. So what is the ESP? Is a email service provider. So email service provider has an inbuilt tracking code. So it will track who has opened the email, who has clicked the email, with geolocation. So this capability ESP has. And this is all about the builder. So builder is nothing but where you can configure, you can see the data. If you want to update something, you can update it here and then you can save. Okay. Checklist is a place where, yeah, so checklist is a place where you will see all the information. So as I am using a free trial version, okay, so it has limited capability. So if you see under checklist, there is a first impression. What it says, I think this capability Salesforce Marketing Cloud doesn't have, because when you create, it will not show you the subject line is clear or not. So if you see, it's saying your subject line is clear, concise, and of a sensible length. Okay. Even it will show you your preview text is composed of multiple different sources. This can happen because of image. So it's maybe there are something which is not correct, because I have written welcome to the NTO group and hi customer is also coming under the preview text. That is not correct, because my preview was only this much. right? So maybe I didn't give the proper space. That's why it's showing some value. So it will notify you this is the error, and it makes sure it should not cross the sum limit. Okay, so this capability Litmus has. Not only this, so if you want to check your subject line in preview test in different devices, like maybe in the iOS or mobile iOS, or maybe in the Android phone, that also you can do so. Also, it will show you all the links which you have given. If you see the link, this was the link. Okay, it will show the link path. If it's something broken, it will show you this link is not proper. Tracking code, as I mentioned, tracking code is mostly for the analytics, how your email is working and who opens, who clicks. So those things. Image block, so what all image I have put, these things. And then it will show you how much time it takes to open. Okay, so if you see, your email took only 0.5 seconds to open. Okay, so it will tell you if it has a multiple images, how much time, because if you have a less time, that means your email is more stronger, right? So that kind of analysis it does. Also, it has a very good capability, that is a spam testing. So spam testing, just take example, if your email is getting spam, but you don't know what is the reason behind that. So Litmus has inbuilt some of the email addresses which you can use for your testing. So if you want to check why this is failed, so it will show you, okay, because of this email address, maybe this is not supporting. Okay, so that capability Litmus has. Also, I want to show you guys something, the good feature it has, preview and testing. So okay, let me select anything here. So as I mentioned, so if you see, it works, the email looks like this in some of the, if I select something else, the clients, it looks something different. Okay, so it depends. So what is the advantage of it? You don't have to send to the different person for the testing. In Litmus itself, you can verify different kind of emails. And see, here are some of the, if you want to change language, that is also possible. In the different language, if you want your email templates, that is possible. Okay. So let me switch to the clients here. And that was related to the mail. So if I want to verify web-based mail, iPhone, so how it looks like in the iPhone. Yes, so it looks like this. Okay. So iPhone X, this looks like this. So now you will be like confident enough, okay, yeah, this my content is, if I am selecting any, maybe the customer is using iPhone or Android phone, or maybe he is using in the web page, how it looks like. Okay, so it helps you in the previewing your email. So this is all about how you can see your email in the different browser users. So it has a mobile clients, if it has a web-based clients in Gmail, how it looks like in your Outlook, everything you can see here. Okay. So this is all about the preview, how you can see. Then we'll come to the analytics. So okay, so if you see, this is the summary. So if I have selected the email clients, Gmail, Outlook, Apple iPhone, all other clients. So it will show you how much percentage it's open in this email clients. Okay, so then it will show you how many people had read, how many people just glanced, and how many just skim read. Okay, so this kind of information. Not only this, it will show you the engagements. So where it engaged more is mobile, how many people are using this, in desktop, how many people has opened. So it will show you the total engagements. Okay, so it will show you the particular email clients also, ML, Outlook. Okay, so you can see this. And then it will show you the particular email clients. So where it rendered properly, which browser they have used. Okay, so if you see the desktop web email, which browser they have used, Gmail, Chrome, Firefox, right? So if you see, all this information are there. Then geolocation. So where people has opened your email most. So if you see, it will specify the reason, total opens, desktop, and all this email clients. Okay, this is the way we can use the Litmus for the analytics. So I showed you guys only one that was a positive, right? So let me show you something which has a negative impact. Okay. So if I see the checklist for this, yeah. So see what I have given, I have specified some percentage, 50% off, because it's a promotional email. I give it 2 or 3 dots and I have given some special characters, right? What it says in the first impression, your subject contains excessive consecutive dot symbols. This is commonly seen in spam. Okay, that means it's not a good practice. Your subject contains excessive consecutive exclamation symbol. So that is also not good. And then you should avoid using percentage because we know this is against the CAN spam law, right? So this kind of feasibility we have in the Litmus. And then if it's a proper sheet, your preview text looks good. It's saying it's proper. Okay. And if you want to see your subject line in preview test, yeah. So if you see, there is one issue in the Apple. Subject line may be too long. Okay, so this is the subject line we have given. In Apple, it says it's too long. In Gmail, it's fine. There is no issue. In iPhone, again, it's a too long. Okay. So this is the capability Litmus has, which will show you in the different clients how your email will look like. So this is all about Litmus, how it looks, how we can use it for our testing, and how we can analyze based on the different email clients, and how we can check your subject line, preview, or email, or maybe if you have something link text, how it looks like. Okay, everything. So let me go back to the slide. So I have covered this part. Builder helps in the building, checklist helps in the detailing the manner, analysis, analytics helps in that. Then analytics report based on the geo. Then how it works in the rendering in the different browser. Then we can share the test result with the, if we have a different, like a team. So if you want to share that, that also possible. So that's all related to this. So we came to the Q&A part. If anyone have any questions, feel free to ask.
Team, you may ask questions. You can unmute yourself, or if you want to like use the chat box, you can use that as well.
Question? Maybe I was super fast.
Okay. I guess if there's no other questions, then I think we can wrap up the session and move to the quiz. Thank you, Shrishti, for this wonderful session.
I have some reference. So if you need any help on this, I can help you guys with this reference. Maybe it will. And thank you, Shibu, for giving me this.
Can you please post these references into the chat?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, Shibu, you go ahead. Thank you, Shibu.
Yeah. Thank you, Shrishti.